So we are discussing C.S. Lewis's The Four Loves, and the three classifications are need love, gift love, and appreciative love. And we spoke at length about storge or affection, commonly understood from the perspective of a parent-child relationship, although it's not limited just to a parent-child relationship. The second type of love is philia. It is a word that was used by Aristotle, a Greek word, and it means friendship. Now, when I use the word friendship, I know it may evoke different reactions in different people. For some, it may be happiness. For others, it may be gratitude. And for some others, it may be a certain sense of bitterness. So let me just recount a few experiences regarding friendship from my own life. So for those of you who are not aware, mine was an arranged marriage. I was married into the Good Shepherd School Ooty family, married to P.C.Thomas. And Jacob and I lived and worked in the school for about 6 months. And then we had to leave. A young couple at the crossroads of our life. We weren't sure where to go, what to do. And around that time, Jacob received a call from a friend in Bangalore. And when he explained his predicament, the friend basically told him to move to Bangalore because he was there with his family. And he said that he would do whatever it takes to help set us up in Bangalore. And that's exactly what he did. He located an apartment in the same apartment complex that he lived. He guided Jacob with regard to courses that he needed to do in order to get a job. I had an MBA, so my path was clear, not so much Jacob's. And so literally, here was a friend who came through when we needed him the most. A friend indeed. That said, we had moved from this palatial mansion with a fleet of cars, and suddenly we were living in this small, tiny little apartment, and people looked at us differently. From being the son and daughter-in-law of so-and-so, we were an ordinary couple leading an ordinary life. And as someone who's gone through ups and downs in life, I can vouch for this. When you go through life-altering experiences, friends, so-called friends, may do the disappearing act. They will suddenly vanish from your life. Maybe because they feel that you no longer fit into their concept of a friend, because you no longer have the same financial status, don't enjoy the same worldly possessions, you're not as successful, whatever may be the reason. This is extremely prevalent. So I've seen two sides of the same coin. The good and the not so good. Now let's look at what C.S. Lewis has to say about friendship. Lewis says that friendship is the most rare of all the four loves. Why? Because it's not biological, it's not organic, it's not instinctive, and it's not even necessary. One can almost go through one's life without having a friend, without even needing a friend. So in that sense, it's not a need love. I've read statistics which say that on average, people have about 3 to 5 friends. But somehow I'm inclined to believe that that is an inflated figure for 2 reasons. Firstly, the true mettle of a friend is proven when you go through life-transforming experiences. The so-called friends will either be there or they will disappear. So, how many people go through these kinds of life-transforming experiences is the question. Secondly, I think social media is a big indication with regard to how many friends people really have. I'm baffled sometimes when I look at the social media accounts of people who have, thousands of friends. How does one keep in touch with all these different people? I mean, we know from our own experience that we add a friend and then someone else adds us as a friend, and we virtually don't even take the time to say hello or, inquire about them. That's how flippant friendships can be. So, coming back to the statistic, I think the fact that, people choose to hide or look for these friendships on social media is an indication that probably they don't have that many friends in real life. I mean, this is just my perspective. Let's look at what C.S. Lewis has to say. Lewis says that friendship is built on companionship. Now, we know who companions are. They are, people who share common interests. For example, friends or companions who love a game of tennis. Older folks who enjoy each other's company when they go for a walk together. Mothers who take their little children on strollers and have a good conversation. But Lewis is quick to assert that friendship is not just about companionship, because companionship is exterior, whereas friendship is an inward journey that two people take together. And the all-pervading question that the friends pose or have to answer is, do you see the same truth? Do you care for the same truth? The answers may differ, that does not matter. But it's the question itself that sets them on this journey together. Now, as I mentioned, friendship is the least necessary of all loves, and which is why the ancients and the medievals valued friendship, but they also considered it a school of virtue or vice. It's a school of virtue, or it can be a school of virtue, because true friendships are not based on the other's financial status or background or past history. It's just very accepting. Think of the friendships in school. One didn't bother to find out, where the other came from, who the father was, who the mother was. It was just something that happened. Secondly, authentic friendships are very humbling, because one has an innate sense of gratitude, because you've found this other person with whom you share a love for the truth. So it can be very humbling, and which is why Lewis called it a school, or rather the ancients called it a school of virtue. Now, why is it a school of vice? Lewis, recounting or drawing from the ancients, said that it can be a school of vice because it's a very slippery slope. Friends can become closed in, and when that happens, there can be a sense of pride or superiority over others. Friends who begin to have a sort of mutual admiration society going on, and when that happens, they become deaf to the voices of the world around them. When friendship devolves into a club of the elite, Lewis says that it becomes bereft of the truth. There is no truth anymore. What reigns then is pride. And we see this. People who choose to live in a certain neighborhood, drive a certain kind of car, send their children to a certain school or college, and their clique of friends will do the exact same thing. and they begin to look down on others who don't enjoy these worldly possessions, which according to them are all important. So that's the slippery slope or the danger of friendship. Now, when we reflect and look back at our own lives, friends we've had in school, in college, and we've probably lost touch with most of them. Maybe we've reconnected with a few through social media, but it's not the same. We just don't have the same connection. And why is that? It's probably because we were just in the same drama club, or we were in the same athletics team, but this all-important question of do you see the same truth was never posed, even as adults. And so we have most people go through life with different friends at different phases of their life. And a classic example of this is mothers. They form friendships with parents of friends of their children, either in their neighborhood or in their school, and it becomes a very functional relationship, because then what they discuss is academics, which course to take, which college. So that's not friendship. That's just a group of people who have a relationship based on a certain need. Now, if we were to connect what I mentioned earlier from my own experiences, it explains why friendships that are based on the externals are not really authentic friendships, because they are evaluated based on the other's concept of a friend, which is again dependent on a whole lot of other conditions. But friendship is a journey that two people take together when they have a desire for the truth. So I hope this helps to explain what friendship is really about, and I hope this will help each of us to look within and ask ourselves, the next time we decide to unfriend someone, whether on social media or in real life, or when we decide to distance ourselves, what are we really doing? What is the motivation? And maybe it's also time to ask ourselves, do I care for a friend? As in, do I care for friendships? Do I want to embark on this journey with another? So I hope you enjoyed this video, and the following topics, which is eros and agape, will be dealt with in the subsequent sessions. Thank you.